Jaime Rivera, shares of Bladex are up 20% year to date. What's driving the stock?
Profitability. We doubled net income last year, and the results of the first quarter were 100% above the results of the first quarter of last year in a very sustainable manner. I think that's a simple answer. A very sustained rate of growth in profitability. We increased the dividend as well. It is logical to suppose that if profitability keeps growing at the rate it is, we're going to increase the dividend sometime soon again.
Well, it's quite a nice dividend. It's about 5.1%. Tell me, what is Bladex's primary business? Because it's still not that well known in America.
The primary business, the soul of the business of Bladex is providing trade financing to the trade flows of Latin America, which have been growing for decades and are growing now faster as Latin America becomes a more and more important provider of much of the minerals and the food and the manufacturing that much of the emerged world needs.
And a lot of that trade is between China and Latin America. How important is that to Bladex's business?
It is very important that there are some countries for which what happens in China is more important than what happens elsewhere in the world. And that's only happened, the change has come in the last 2 years. Chile, Colombia, Peru, Argentina, and Brazil. For those 5 countries, what happens in China is just as important, or maybe even a bit more important than what happens anywhere else in the world. For the rest of the region, and that includes, very importantly, Mexico, what happens in the US and Europe is still more important than in China.
So how would you describe the relationship between Latin America and the US right now, and as it pertains to your business as well?
The US is still, when you add the numbers, the most important commercial partner of Latin America. It's also the largest source of foreign direct income, which, by the way, broke a record last year again. It was up 26% to something like 153 billion. So it is very close, and it'll remain close because the economies are complementary in many senses. But it's from our point of view, Latin Americans, the fact that we now have a larger number of markets where we can sell our products makes a huge difference. Now we have China, Japan, the US, and the European Union. And we're starting to sell. There's Brazilian chickens being sold in Jordan in big amounts.
Here's the big question. There's still a lot of worries about European banks, even US banks. Now, Bladex is a banker to banks in Latin America. What's the state of the Latin American banking system?
I said it publicly about a year and a half ago, and I will restate it publicly here. The strongest, best-run banks in the world are currently in Latin America. Capitalization, liquidity, credit quality, regulations, the best banks in the world at the moment are in Latin America, strongest.
And what about worries about political figures like Chavez and Cristina Kirchner down in Argentina? Because there's still some political worries as well when it comes to US investors putting their money into South America.
Absolutely. We do good business in Venezuela. Venezuela is a shareholder of the bank. And we do good business in Argentina as well. You have to know how to pick and choose the segment you're going to go into. And that's probably the secret, and the person you're going to be partnering up with. You cannot go there without doing a thorough due diligence. If you do that, then you probably do okay.
This market is
stock tickers market.
Stocks have rallied this year.
We're coming into a Monday where we're going to